Hey everybody, welcome back to the SuperBake podcast. I'm your host, Baker. Let's talk about stuff. The Witcher, Season 2, Episode 5, Turn Your Back. Well, things are definitely getting more exciting in the world of The Witcher. Episode 5 might very well be my favorite episode of the season so far. It continues to build upon the world of Geralt of Rivia, as well as setting up exciting conflicts for the future, that's for sure. So the episode begins with the characters Lydia and Rience, who we're introduced to, the latter being a mysterious and intimidating fire mage who definitely does not mess around. Rience seems hellbent on getting information about Geralt, and more specifically Ciri. Who he's working for ultimately is still unclear, but it's obvious that it's bad news for the other characters. Especially Jasker, aka Dandelion, everyone's favorite bard. The two have a very fiery conversation, a pun very much intended, as Jasker is tortured for information by the fire mage about Geralt's location. Fortunately, Yennefer is there to save Jasker's ass with an impressive and actually rather hilarious move that Rience doesn't see coming. Obviously, he's not dead, and we'll certainly see him again before the season's done, but it was still a comical and funny moment in the episode. It's a good balance of intense drama and lightheartedness that the Witcher series manages to tread well, in my opinion. A good balancing act on their part. Meanwhile, back at Kaer Morhen, Vessemer advises Ciri that she has the mysterious Elder Blood. He states that, with her blood, he could create a new mutagen that would allow for the creation of more Witchers. It's revealed that the reason why there are so few Witchers left in the world is simply because the potions needed to create them are all but gone. However, Ciri's blood could hold the key to creating more. Siri agrees to Vessemer'S plan on the condition that she be the first one to test the mutagen. It's made clear by Vessemer, though, that this is a dangerous and very painful process that could have dire consequences for Ciri. However, she is determined to see it through, and the two agree. Triss, however, objects to this, and instead wants to use a magic meditation to dive into Ciri's past, to learn more about who she really is. We're given a glimpse to a rather happy memory. However, as per usual in this show, things go tits up pretty quick. Despite Triss stating that it's just a memory and the visions cannot interact with them, several look directly at Ciri and even say her name. Not a good sign. From here, the episode takes a drastically dark turn as the two find Lara Doran, an elven sage who appears to be mortally wounded while holding a newborn child. When Triss goes to tend to her wound, Lara stands up and grabs Triss by the throat. Ciri, and we the audience, are then told Ilithan's prophecy. Ciri watches on the horizon as the Wild Hunt emerges in clouds of fire, in a rather pretty cool and ominous scene. It's revealed here that Ciri is a child of chaos and descended from Lara Doran. The vision ends with Triss hunched over in panic at the realization of who Ciri truly is. She keeps uttering that Ciri is a seed that will burst into flames, and that Ciri will destroy them all. And at that point, Triss seems to be huddled over in just pure panic at the mere sight of Ciri. During the vision, Ciri cries out Geralt's name. Geralt, meanwhile, is with the mage Istrid at the monolith's site, investigating where the new monsters are coming from. He hears Ciri call his name, just as a new ferocious monster emerges from the pieces of the monolith. Before Geralt parts with Istrid, the mage reveals to him that Yen is alive. This gives us a rare, heartfelt moment from Geralt, who, until this point, has had no idea that Yennefer is even still alive. Geralt is then portaled back to Kaer Morhen, just as Vessemer and Ciri are about to inject her with the Witcher mutagen. He angrily stops the process and has another heartfelt moment with Ciri, telling her that she is extraordinary, and not the great evil that she's been led to believe by the vision. We then go back to Yennefer and Jasker. While the two do manage to escape the fire mage, it's only temporary, as Yennefer is captured again by some town guards. She is paid another visit by the mysterious witch, and this time Yen obliges and utters the words to get her powers back. She disappears, leaving Jasker to be captured by the guards instead. We then see Yennefer in the presence of the old witch, who tells her that she needs Yen to deliver Ciri to her. What her plans are for Ciri is not made clear in this episode, but it's safe to say it's nothing good. We leave Yennefer pondering the choice presented to her. At this point, we're not quite sure how Yennefer will approach this decision. Will she commit to the old witch and join in the hunt for Ciri, or does Yennefer have other plans in store for getting her powers back? My money's on the latter, but time will tell. Also, we see, this is where the episode ends, but before that we do also get a scene where we see Cahir has finally made it back to Centra, and his last scene with Frangela and Francesca, both of whom continue to plot in secret. And we also see the elf Dara is there as a sort of undercover spy, so it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out this season. Yeah, overall, like I said before, this is probably my favorite episode so far this season. This was a really good episode for me. Definitely the best. Just a few positives that I kind of took away from this episode. I love the scenes with Riance and his ear-piercing snapping fingers. When we see him in the beginning of the episode when he's in that prison, and he just keeps snapping his fingers, it's like the most ear-piercing, shattering snaps I've ever heard. It was really cool to see. I wish I could do that. I can't snap my fingers that loud. That's about as good as I can get. So yeah, I definitely hope he plays a much larger role in this season as an antagonist. I liked his character a lot. I like a good villain, a good, compelling, interesting, intimidating villain, and I feel like we definitely got that from him. Seeing the fiery vision of the Wild Hunt through the sky, that was also awesome to see. Anything related to the Wild Hunt, just because I played Witcher 3, so that's definitely cool to see them in there. I feel like they're kind of like, I think I've said this before, the Thanos of the Witcher series. They're kind of the big baddies that everything's kind of building towards. So it's cool to see these guys being reintroduced and kind of seeing the big presence they have in the story. The interesting different stories, the side stories with all the other characters was definitely nice to see in this. It definitely has a Game of Thrones feeling to it where you have these different stories and conflicts going on all at once. And the story kind of jumps back and forth between these different stories, but it does it in a way that's really easy to understand. It's done well in my opinion. That was kind of the thing I had with the first season, was that it was also jumping between different timelines, so I felt like, at least for me, it wasn't always clear as far as what was going on. Now that the show is finally in the same timeline, I feel like it's definitely much clearer as far as like keeping track of the story and who's doing what and what's going on. So it's definitely cool to see all these different characters who are vying for power in their own unique ways. Definitely a highlight of this season so far for me. Another positive was seeing Geralt becoming more of a father figure to Siri, and also being one of the few hopeful things in her life. I really liked the scene between him and Siri where he disrupts the process with Vessemer, and he actually, tells Siri that she's good enough as she is, giving her pep talk that I think a good, decent parent would give to their child. And so that was a nice, heartfelt moment in the show. I really love the scenes with Geralt and Ciri. These are genuinely good scenes that I think are portrayed very well by the actor Henry Cavill and the actress that plays Siri, who I forgot her name again. I need to look that up. But yeah, these two are definitely top notch in these roles. I love seeing the interaction, the exchange between them. It's definitely, I love every scene that they're in together. They definitely play well off of each other for sure. A couple negatives, honestly, not too many to speak of. This was just a solid episode all around. But I guess if I had to nitpick, I would say in the scene when Yen saves Jasker from Riance the Fire Mage, it did seem like she dispatched Rents a little too easily. For a guy that the episode built up as being this imposing antagonistic figure, it kind of felt weird for her to take him out so quickly, especially since she doesn't have magic right now. I mean, granted, she tricks him. It's kind of a cheap trick that she pulls on him, and I won't reveal too much about what she does. So, I mean, she catches him off guard. He kind of thinks that she's just some drunk woman, coming in off the streets. But still, it's just like, for a guy who was kind of built up to be like this imposing figure, it seems kind of strange that he would get caught off guard like that. But, I mean, I'm sure we'll see more of him later in the season. So, I mean, hopefully, as long as he plays a big role, I don't have that big a problem with it. Just a little thing that I noticed. The only other thing that I kind of felt could have had more of an impact was the scenes with Geralt and Istrid at the Monolith site. So these are both men who love Yennefer. So this would have definitely made for some interesting tension in the story. It would have been nice to see these two kind of have more of a, not necessarily a fight, but more of a back and forth about Yennefer. Again, maybe this is something that will be a plot point later on in the season, but just one thing that I noticed, kind of feel like we didn't get much out of that, and I would have liked to have seen more of it, but again, maybe it'll come into play later, so it's, I guess time will tell on that. But yeah, like I said before, this was definitely my favorite episode so far of this season. Definitely easily the best one, I think. And it's been a very solid season too, so that's definitely saying a lot. There really haven't been a whole lot of, valleys, mostly peaks so far. And again, like the world building in this has me really excited for like where this is going. I've talked about this before, like just the fact that they've introduced the Wild Hunt. They've, even though the Wild Hunt are figures that have not necessarily been characters within the story so far, they haven't actually been introduced into the narrative. We've at least seen visions of them. So we know that they're there, we know that they exist, and we know that at some point down the road, they're going to play a very big part in this story. So that's definitely one aspect that I'm very excited to see how that plays out in the future. And also too, just like I said, the acting all around in this has just been fantastic. Like the characters, the actress that plays Triss, she was great in this. That was one thing that I really feel bad for Siri. I feel like just a lot of characters are just kind of turning against her. Like, you know, up until this point, Triss has been kind of like a sister figure for her almost. Like she's actually been there for Siri, kind of helped her. Sorry if you hear typing. I'm typing something out here, so hopefully it mic doesn't pick it up too much. But yeah, like just seeing her interactions with Siri, that was definitely interesting. And seeing her finally like take on more of like a negative viewpoint on Siri just from the vision that they had. It's definitely heartbreaking to see Siri's character go through this, to see like, you know, these characters that she's kind of depending on in many ways, and seeing like how a lot of them are reacting to her. So yeah, that was definitely a pretty heartbreaking moment for Siri. I just feel sorry for her character throughout this season. Like I really like Siri as a character. I like the actress that plays her, and so like it's tough to see like these scenes where she's just constantly getting crapped on by Destiny, being told that like, you know, she's gonna cause the destruction of the world and all this stuff. So, and then I also like the exchange between her and Vesemir in this episode too. I feel like this could have easily been seen as like Vessemir is almost sort of like an antagonistic role in this episode, because it's like it feels like he's kind of pushing Siri to do the mutagen thing, but it's clear from Vessemer'S point of view that it's coming from a good place though. Like this is a guy who it's almost like you get this sense that he views the Witchers as almost like his children in a way, and he's definitely heartbroken at seeing them die out. And this is a guy that just wants to desperately try to return to the glory days of the Witchers, when there were more of them and they were more of a force to be reckoned with. So in that sense, I mean, I think the show does a good job of making you sympathize with him. And he does clearly care about Siri, at least I think he does. That's the impression that I get. He's not doing this because he considers her more of a tool. I think he does consider her a human being, but he's just kind of caught in this really tough situation where he wants to rebuild the Witchers, but he knows he's going to have to use Siri to do it. And so it's like, it's a tough choice for him that I think it's obvious that he doesn't like it. He doesn't want to do it. So Freya Allen, that's the name of the actress that plays Siri. Yeah, great acting on her part. Great performance for sure. But yeah, and again, like I love Yennefer and Dandelion as a duo. Those two have great comedic timing together. So the whole scenes with them in Oxford where they're trying to escape from the guards is fantastic. You know, like when they're jumped on the street by these guys who think that Yennefer's like a prostitute, and she just nails one of them right in the crotch, and it's just such a great scene. Yeah, all the scenes with her and Dandelion together to me were just fantastic. Like I definitely hope we get to see more of that for sure. And that poor guy, that poor bastard, he just can't get a break. He gets captured by the fire mage in episode 4, and then at the end of episode 5, he gets captured by guards. It's like that poor bastard he just can't. He has the worst luck, I swear. But it's hilarious. So it serves the purpose of making the episode more entertaining. So it's all good. It's all good, Dandelion. But yeah, and then also too, like, even though we didn't get much between Geralt and Istrid, I still thought what we did get was pretty cool. I liked the little comedic moment where those two are traveling together and they come across a couple of guards who try to stop them, and we kind of get to see like a little comical moment between those two where Istrid is trying to take the pacifist approach and talk to the guards and see if he can kind of talk his way out of it, whereas Geralt just takes the brute force approach and just knocks one of the guards out, which forces Istrid to use his mage abilities to take out the second guard. So that little exchange with him I thought was great. It's those little moments in The Witcher that I enjoy the most, where you kind of get these two different characters with different perspectives and ideologies in similar situations and kind of see like how they approach them. So that's another aspect of the show that I greatly enjoy too. And we kind of saw that too in like the first season when Geralt was traveling with Dandelion, you know, kind of seeing them travel together as companions. You know, that was, I think, one of the best aspects of the first season. And I think that is where the show is really at its best. When you see more specifically when you see Geralt interacting with other characters, and you kind of get to see his perspectives on life as a Witcher being tested, because he's being forced into to see the world through the viewpoint of other people. And so that to me is where the show is also really at its most interesting moments. So, and then yeah, it's just great all around. This is definitely a fantastic episode to follow up with the last one, episode 4. So definitely has me interested and excited for the rest of the season. I'm definitely excited to see how the rest of this plays out. So yeah, and I've been really enjoying this too, for sure. This review that I did was more of a scripted approach. Up until this point, I've kind of been doing more of a kind of just off the cuff, just saying what I felt. This time I actually took the time to write a script and kind of go over it in more detail to kind of help me keep my thoughts, or collect my thoughts and keep them organized throughout the review. So this might be the format that I continue for a while. Just kind of depends on how things go. I think there's a car going by. Yep. Could kind of hear it in the background. The mic was picking it up. So, but yeah, this will probably be the format that I do for a while. Seems to work pretty well. It kind of helps me get more of a detailed review, detailed perspective on the episode that I review. So, so I'll probably do this format for quite a while, or at least moving forward. So, sorry, I keep losing my voice. But yeah, so hopefully you guys like what you heard. Yeah, definitely has my recommendation. This season's been fantastic. Has me excited for the future of the Witcher series. So hopefully they continue to put out this level of detail and quality in the show. So yeah, guys, hope you like what you heard. Feel free to like and subscribe. I will catch you guys next time. See you guys later.